everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I have Deborah Muller's Fall Friends. This is a coloring book that is printed on the Amazon paper. I have my swatch chart for the pastel tints as well as my swatch chart for the BRUTFUNER Macaron pencils. It has been highly requested that I test a couple of the different pastel colored pencil sets on the Amazon printed books. If you don't already know, I'm doing sort of a series here on my channel where I'm testing many different budget-friendly pencils in the Amazon books. If you've not already seen that, I will link it in the upper right-hand corner. But today we are going to work with just these two pastel sets. I'm also going to show you in this video how I like to work with these when I'm just using pastels, because there is sort of a little trick to making them look a little bit better, because as you know, you don't get really dark colors in these sets to give the objects on your coloring pages a whole lot of depth and dimension. But I'm going to show you that here in this video today, and we are going to color a couple leaves. I find that leaves are the easiest thing to color when you're just using these books just to test out the pencils on paper, and they're quick and they're easy, so we should be able to get a lot into one video. If you check the description box down below, I will have everything down there that you see in this video, as well as links to my Facebook group, my Etsy shop, my email list, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. I also now have channel membership. You can learn more about that by clicking the join button down below. So I chose a page in here, and I'm going to work on this page here only because you can see I get a few leaves over here and some more leaves and some more leaves. There's just a lot of really good sized leaves on this page to be able to test out the pencils. So I figured it would be the best one because I want to be able to color a couple leaves up here with one set of pencils and then a couple down here with the other set of pencils, and that way y'all can look at them side by side and see a comparison between the two colored pencil sets. I think first we're going to go ahead and test the BRUTFUNER Macarons. And so this is my swatch chart. I did put all these in color family order. If you've not already seen my review on that, I will go ahead and put that in the upper right hand corner. This is the custom swatch chart that I made that is available in my Etsy shop. If you're interested, I'll link that down in the description box below. But you can grab this from my Etsy shop swatched and unswatched. So I also have my swatch chart just like this with all the colors already filled out. So if you're someone that can't swatch your own colors or just doesn't have the time, you have this option available as well. So in my last videos, I don't even think I used greens. But for this one, we're going to go ahead and start with greens because I want to be able to show you something about these pencils and the best way to use them, since it is a full set of just very light pastel colors. So you sort of have midtones and highlight colors. You don't really get a really dark color to be able to add a whole lot of extra depth and dimension. So we're going to go ahead and start with this green color combination, and I'm going to go over the colors that I have. This one is leaf green, which is right here. And then the next one I have is opal green, which is right here. And then this one is chartreuse green, which is right here. So we're using this color, and this color. So we're going to go ahead and start with the darkest color, which is our leaf green. And I'm just going to start shading some of this in and get a feel for how these pencils lay down on the paper. And when I'm using these, I do like to go from dark to light rather than light to dark. Now I'm going to come back with the next color, and there's not a whole lot of difference between this color and the leaf green, but you're going to see a bit of a pop when I come in here and add the chartreuse. So here is a chartreuse green, and we're just going to come in here and add some of that. But the color is going down really nicely on the paper, and these pencils are blending really beautifully. Okay, so that was one layer. Let's come back and see if we can get another layer down here and how dark we can actually make this color to get a little bit of added depth. The color's laying down really nicely. And as soon as I touch the paper, it lays right down. And that second layer is really creating a lot more color. So now I have the opal green, and I'm going to come in a little bit over that leaf green and blend this into the center towards the chartreuse green. Now I don't expect to get a whole lot of layers down here on the paper with these pencils, but we will see. Now I'm going to come back with this color. This is the chartreuse green, and we should see a huge pop here. And I'm not trying to be extra artistic or anything like that. I'm just laying the colors down on the leaf so y'all can get an idea of how these pencils perform in these books on this paper. Okay, so that was the second layer. Now let's see if we can make this even darker over here. And look, it's still laying down. These are super nice pencils, super nice pencils. I did do a comparison video on these, comparing these to the pastel tints. So if you've not already seen that video, I'll make sure that's linked in the upper right hand corner for you to check out. Now we're going to come back and try to lay, I think this was our third layer, and they're still blending together really nicely, and the color is still laying down on the paper. And then I'm going to come back and lay a little bit more of this color. This is the chartreuse green, and see if we can brighten this up just a bit. And the color is still laying down there. Now these colors are really close together. I am going to test another one, and I'm going to show you a little trick with these, or any pastel set that you may have. Let me go ahead and just color in the end of the leaf here. But I don't know, I think that's all the layers we're going to be able to get down here. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to get any more color down here with these, so I think we were able to get right around 3 layers, which is fine. And the colors all blended together really nicely. Now remember, you're not going to get a whole lot of extra added depth and dimension with these pencils because they are a full set of pastels. Now if I wanted to come back with something like my Prismacolors and I just wanted to add in all that extra depth and dimension, I could do that. These work very well with the Prismacolors. I'll show you that a little bit further into the video. But for now, I want to move on to another leaf, and I want to show you a little something that you can do with these pencils. So I'm going to start with these colors, and I want to show you the difference it makes when you just add a little bit of contrast in your colors when you're using these pencils. So I have rose gray, pink, and cherry blossom. So here's my rose gray, here's my pink, and then here is the cherry blossom. So we're going from a very purplish gray or pinky purpley gray into a bright beautiful pink that is sort of like a coral, and then over here to the cherry blossom, which is going to lighten it up a little bit. So we're going to see what happens when we lay these two down and how well the rose gray and the pink blend together on this Amazon paper. So we're going to move to this leaf right here. It is a little bit small, but I think we can make it work. So again, I'm going to start with my darkest color. I'm wondering if maybe I can do this one a little bit differently rather than doing the edges with the darkest color. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add the pink, and look how those colors just blend right into one another, and it creates a little bit of that contrast. So this way you can really see the difference between the colors, and when you're using a pastel set like this, it makes a whole lot of difference. And then I'm popping this cherry blossom right down here in the bottom. And so I'm coloring this one just a little bit differently, but I want you to be able to see the difference in the colors as we flow forward on the leaf. And then let's see how much color we can get down here. This is one of the darker colors in this set, the rose gray. Now let's add a little bit more of this pink, and they're blending together really nicely. I really like these on this paper. Up here I'm trying to blend these two colors together to see if we could get a blend and create a different color and see how well that works. But it seems to be working rather nicely. And then I'm going to come back in with my lightest color, which was cherry blossom. And cherry blossom is one of my favorite colors. So pretty. Okay, so again, I think that was 2 layers. Now we're going to come back in here and see how dark we could get this rose gray. We're able to get quite a bit of color down here with this, and the colors are blending together really nicely. And then I'm going to come add this other contrasting color, and look how much of that color is going down. The pigment's going right down on the paper. This is a gorgeous color. So we're really starting to get some of that color down on the paper now, and it's starting to really move around. Now I have the cherry blossom, and I'm going to come in here and add that pop of highlight just down here in the corner. Oh, look how pretty that is. So I think, was that 3 layers? But the color is still going down there, and I believe this is the 4th layer of the darkest color, and then a 4th layer of the mid-tone that I used, and that pop of highlight. Let me just get in here and color this part of the leaf. But the color is still going down, and it still is moving around freely. And look, I can just come in here and lay that color right over the other color, and it's working really nicely. So I could probably keep working away at that if I wanted to and get a little bit more of that color down there. But I want to be able to test out some of these other colors on this paper. But these work really nicely on the paper. I can't wait to see how they compare to the pastel tints. I have one more color combination, and this one we are really putting these to the test because I've got some blues and I have cream, which has a lot of yellow in it. So the first one is Sax Blue, which is right here, and then Porcelain Blue, which is over here. So you can see this one is a very dark muted blue, and then this one over here is more like a teal, and then I have Cream, which is up here and has a whole lot of yellow in it. So we're going to really test these out now and see what we can come up with. So I'm going to move down here to the bottom of the page because the leaves down here are a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to start with my darkest color, so the Sax Blue. And I'm going to lay a very light layer of this down here. And for this one, I think I'm just randomly going to lay the colors in different places. Now I have the Porcelain Blue, and I'm going to blend this right into the Sax Blue. And again, the colors are going down very, very nicely, and they're blending into one another beautifully. And after I get another layer laid down here, you're going to be able to see the huge difference in the contrast of these colors. We've got two different blues, and then we have this yellow. And I'm going to take this yellow and I'm going to add it right in here for a pop of color. Look at that, how pretty that is. And you could see I could pull it up into here, and it's actually creating a blend of those two colors here, and it's turning a little bit green in that one area there. So they do blend together nicely to create other colors if you wanted to do that. Now I have my Sax Blue, and I'm going to come back and add another layer of this one. Hopefully you could see the difference in choosing colors that are a little bit contrasting from one another, because it makes a huge difference when you're coloring with these pastel pencils. These pencils would be really cool to create a sort of rainbow effect on the objects on your coloring pages. That would be super neat, to color a whole entire page with just like rainbow colors and make all the objects on the coloring page all rainbow. That would be really, really pretty. Okay, so I think this is layer number 3, and we're coming back in here and laying this color and pulling it into that teal color. Add some of this down here at the bottom, and I'm going to pull it up in here to the top. But these are working really nicely in this book. But the trick is really to just use colors that are a little bit contrasting from one another. And once that's down on your whole entire page, I think it will look really good. Now see, I'm able to add a little bit of depth here by layering up this color, and it is still laying down onto the paper quite a bit. I'm going to lay a little bit more down here so you can see, but I'm going in a circular motion and just pulling that color up into the Porcelain Blue. And then I'm going to come over here and try to add another layer of this here as well. But look how nice those colors blend into one another, and the blue is even blending really nicely into that yellow, and it's creating a blend of green, if you could see here. And then look how bright and beautiful this color gets when you go over it again. But I'm able to get quite a few layers down here with these pencils. So you can see that these work really nicely in the Amazon printed books on this paper, and you can get quite a few layers down there. They do blend together really nicely to create another color at the transitions. You could see that here where it made sort of a blend of green. It's really, really pretty. You could see how using contrasting colors really makes the objects on your coloring pages stand out a whole lot more. And then here we have one where we're just sticking with the same color family. It's really pretty to me, but it doesn't look as eye-catching to me as if you were to do something like this, or especially something like this. I really like this one. But you're not going to get all that extra depth and dimension when you're using these pencils, because you're working with a full set of all pastel colors, and you're only getting really highlight colors and midtones. And to add all of that extra depth and dimension, you really need to bring in something like a Prismacolor, one of the very dark colors. Like if I was using blues, I would probably choose indigo, or any other set even of your budget friendly pencils. So even the 120 set of Castle Arts work really, really well in these books. If you wanted to add all that extra depth and dimension, you can grab your Castle Arts and you can just go over some of these areas to create all that extra depth, creating more of a highlight here, because once you have a great difference in the values of the colors, you are going to see that highlight pop so much more. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to test the pastel tints in this book right up against these BRUTFUNER macarons. So I've already chosen some colors, and we're going to stick to the same color family. Well, this one does have a lot of purple in it, but it's still technically a blue. So we are going to stick to the same color family for the first one, and these are the colors that I chose. So I have hydrangea, blue mist, and blue poppy. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this leaf right here since I'm using blues and these are right next to each other, so you could see the difference in these two and the way that they lay down. So I'm going to start with my lightest color here. So y'all know how much I love light blues. The light blues in Prismacolor set are my absolute favorite. And this has been one of the only pastel sets. The BRUTFUNER set does not have one, but this is a very pale, beautiful, like sky blue. And I've been looking for that color in a budget set for the longest time and finally found it. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here with my mid-tone. I think I'm going to pull that lighter blue over just a little bit more over here. And they are laying down nicely. They do feel harder than the BRUTFUNER pencils, but the color is going right down on the paper. They're going down really nicely and it's blending right into that other color. Now I have my darkest color. And I probably laid these down backwards. I did my darkest color last, but that's okay. But look at the difference. Wow. So just by adding that color that has a little bit of contrast, even though it is still sort of in the same color family, it has a lot more purple in it. But look at the difference that made. Let's go ahead and add just a little bit over here. And the colors do lay down right on top of one another very nicely. So I think that was the second layer. Actually, it was a first layer over here and a second layer. It's still technically the first layer. Now we're going to come back and we're going to try to blend some of these colors together. So these colors are too blending right into one another really, really nicely, just like the other set did. These do just feel harder. So it doesn't feel like the color moves around as much as it did when I was using the BRUTFUNER pencils. Okay, so let's see if we can get another layer down here, and it is laying right down. Look at that. And I am using a little bit harder pressure at this point to see what we can do here, but look at that color is going right down. Oh my goodness. And this is a pretty dark color for a pastel set. You may have more colors in this set to be able to put 3 colors together than you do in the BRUTFUNER macaron set, because this color is probably dark enough to be able to use to create a little bit of added depth there. Now I'm going to come in and blend this color right into it as well and come all the way around, and the color feels like it's moving around a little bit more now that I have some of the color down on the paper. And now I'm going to come in with my lightest blue. This is blue poppy, and I don't think I can get any more layers down here. I think we're done. That may have been 4 layers, so I think they're comparable in the amount of layers you can get down on the paper. So I think that would have been, I don't know, I hope y'all are counting when you watch this video, because y'all know I always lose track. Yeah, all the tooth of the paper is gone, and that's as much as we're going to get down there. So I think it's safe to say that we are only going to be able to get about 4 layers down there. I mean, I probably could come back with a Prismacolor and add a little bit more color, and if you saw my other video where I showed you all the little tips on how to get your budget-friendly pencils to blend a lot better, we could probably use some of those ideas and get a little bit more color down here with these pencils. So for this color combination, I'm still using the hydrangea, but I put it with the wisteria and the snow waffle. So we have the hydrangea right here and the snow waffle and the wisteria. So you could see there's a little bit of contrast between the hydrangea and the wisteria. And then we've got this snow waffle. It's a really like toned down muted pink. So I'm going to come down here and color this one, and I think at this time I'm going to start with the hydrangea. And initially they do lay down really nicely, and you could see that a lot of the color does go down there on the paper. Now I'm going to come in here with this wisteria, and you'll be able to see a difference in the colors by adding this color in here for quite a bit of contrast. To look at those 2 colors together, aren't they beautiful? And then I am going to come in here and add some of the snow waffle, and the snow waffle is a really light color, so it's a little bit hard to see, but it does blend right in there with the other colors, and it's really pretty. So let's come back with a second layer, and I'm still using a little bit of a lighter hand here and just trying to get another layer of color But oh my gosh, this must be the most beautiful color combination yet that I put together. Look how pretty that is. The contrast between this wisteria and the hydrangea is just gorgeous. So let me add a little bit more of the wisteria up here on this outer side of the leaf. But they are going down really, really nicely. And you can see the difference when you use these pastel pencils and you create a contrast or use contrasting colors. I feel like the contrasting colors make a huge difference. And I'm coloring this one a little bit faster just because I'm trying to get the color down here on the paper, and I wanted to be able to also show y'all what happens too if you bring in a Prismacolor. I'm going to use Prismacolors, but you can use really any other pencil, but I just want to be able to show y'all the difference it will make, and I'm going to do that really quick at the end of the video. So I'm coming back in here and I'm just adding a little bit of this wisteria over here in the corner because I really wanted to test it out and see if I could get that color to lay right over the other colors, and it worked really nicely. And now I'm going to come in here and blend some of this wisteria right down on top of it and try to create a blend of those two colors, and look how it just blends together so seamlessly. But these do work really nice in this book. I think they both work really nicely in this book, and it's really hard for me to determine which one I like better because they really both work about the same. It's just that these pastel tints are harder than the macaron pencils are. And now I'm going to see how much darker I can get this hydrangea here. Look at that color just going down. So I think this is my favorite leaf out of all of them just because of the choice of colors. But this video was really just to test the colors and not create color combinations. So I think y'all have some color combinations as well in this video. Okay, and there was one other thing that I wanted to show you with these. Now, I chose these two colors here, and so this is the Veridi right here, and then this one, look how bright and beautiful that is. That is the Lime Coral, which is right here. So you can see that these colors are quite a bit different than one another. They are both greens, but this color is just very, very different. I don't even know how to describe it. It's really beautiful. But I'm going to try to take these two colors and lay them down on my coloring page and see if I could get away with just using just two colors. So because I have just two colors, I'm going to do it on this leaf here because the leaf is rather small. So just because I have just two colors, I could surely fit both of those colors right in there. Let me go ahead and start with the darker one. Oh, look how that color goes right down. And again, in this video, I'm not trying to be artistic or anything. I'm just really testing these pencils out in this book. And look at that, the contrast of those two colors. Look how pretty that is. So if you wanted to use just two colors, you can surely do that if you wanted to. And look at the blend of those two colors together, creating that other color there. That is so pretty. But look how bright and vibrant this color is. And right when I touch the paper, these pencils are just going right down. They work really nicely. Both of these sets work really nicely. I honestly really cannot tell which set I like better. I want to say maybe the Castle Arts, but I really don't know because it's really so close. But look at that. They blend together just really beautifully, and the color goes right down on the paper. And even with just the two colors, I was able to cover all the white of the paper and create a little bit of contrast and color in a pretty leaf. I really, really like that one. Okay, so I went and grabbed my Prismacolor. This is Marine Green PC 988, and I'm going to work on this leaf right here. I'm going to show you the difference it can make if you just grab one colored pencil from any other colored pencil set and mixed it with these pencils, because as I said, you're basically just getting a whole lot of midtones and pastel colors. So midtones and colors I would use for highlights. And so if you just grab one pencil from another set, you can really come back and add a whole lot of depth and dimension. And y'all know my videos are never complete unless I add in a little extra tip or trick for you. I'm just gonna come in here with this color and we're gonna see how well these work with Prismacolors. And it is laying down there really nicely right on top of the others. And because the Prismacolors are so waxy, you should not have any issue getting the color laid down there the way that you want to. Y'all know when I'm coloring leaves, I like to go right over the veins that are there in the artwork because this is what helps to give it a lot of added depth and dimension, but we're going to see what we could do here. So I just like to come in at the tips right here where I had the darker color. I could add just a little bit there, and then over here, maybe down in this part of the leaf, and then blend a little bit of it over in here, down at the bottom. And this is just going to make such a huge difference. But sometimes when you're working with just pastel sets, it really helps to bring in just one other color, a much darker color from any other set. And like I said, the 120 set of Castle Arts work really nicely in these books. So if you wanted to bring those in and try it with those, you could do that as well. But look at the extra amount of added depth, and it's just making it pop off the page just a little bit. And because the Prismacolors are so waxy, they just lay right down there, right on top of these other pencils. So you could probably see the huge difference that that made just doing that. Another little trick, if you just wanted to add a little bit more highlights, you can take your Posca pen and put some pops of highlights right into the leaf. And y'all know I always like to just dab it. But that too helps to add a little bit more of a pop, and it creates a little bit more dimension along with that darker color. But I always like to use my Poscas on leaves. They really make such a huge difference. Okay, y'all, so I hope that video was helpful, and you could see that both of these pencils, the macarons and the pastel tints, they both went down really nicely on this paper in these Amazon printed books. It is so close in comparison, but you can see the leaves from both different sets, and they all look very similar. But I'm sure you could tell just by watching the video that they both laid down very similarly. They both maxed out at probably right around 4 layers. Now, if you don't already know, the BRUTFUNERs are a dupe for the Holbein pastels. If you are in the market for a pastel set and you cannot afford something like Holbein's, these two sets are really nice sets. And as you can see in this book, they were very comparable in the way that they laid down, the way that they blended together, and being able to choose contrasting colors. Both of these sets do have some similar colors in them, but there are some colors in each of these sets that are not in the other. So if you were to purchase both sets, you would end up with different colors. But as far as being able to put together contrasting colors and then blending together seamlessly, and the way that they went down on the paper, they were very comparable. The only difference is that the pastel tint is a harder pencil and the BRUTFUNER macarons are quite a bit softer in their laydown than the pastel tints. My suggestion would be, if you wanted to add all the extra depth and dimension to the objects on your coloring pages, is just to grab one very dark color from another colored pencil set, whether it be a budget set or one of your artist grade sets, and do what I did here with the green leaf. And I even came back there and I added some Posca to give it an extra bit of a highlight and to make it pop a little bit more. But you could see that it has a lot more depth than some of these other leaves do, where I just used the pastel colors. So you can interchangeably work with these with any one of your other bigger colored pencil sets and just pull out a couple colors and add those to it, and they work really nicely together. Everything you've seen in this video will be linked down in the description box below. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.